Well, standing by this morning, Dr. Oscar van Heerden, Senior Research Fellow at the Center for African Diplomacy and Leadership at the University of Johannesburg, the State of the Nation Address, Cyril Ramaphosa. Dr. Oscar van Heerden, good morning to you, sir, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, and good morning to your listeners.
Yes, in fact, just before we get to some of the detail, I just needed your feel for how you see the SONA and how it's evolved over a period of time. And is this just becoming an annual speech that is given by the head of the country, by the president of the country? And for the reasons I've mentioned, is it's become quite a spectacle and it's become quite a showpiece, red carpet treatment, thousands of rands spent on outfits as well. All of this tells us that, does the State of the Nation address truly reflect what South Africa is really about?
I'm not sure if it reflects it, but I think it's pomp and ceremony that's appreciated, particularly on the continent. We are one of the few opening of parliaments that is actually being observed or being viewed by the rest of the continent. I don't think any South African would be able to recall the opening of any other parliament on the continent, and yet they, as far afield as Nigeria and so on, do know that when it's South Africa's opening of parliament. So I think the pomp and ceremony is tradition. It's a show of our armed forces and so on and so forth. So it's probably not a reflection of the situation on the ground in South Africa, but certainly people appreciate the fact that every year the South African Parliament and the South African government has this showcase.
Dr. van Heerden, just personally for you, just listening to the State of the Nation address and your expectations, did it meet your expectations?
I think it did. It did meet my expectations. The overall, the overall message of this State of the Nation, I dare say, was the President of the Republic of South Africa basically reminding the whole world that we are the creators of our own destiny. We are the captain of our own ship. We won't be bullied. We won't be told how to conduct our affairs. We have a strong constitutional democracy that's premised on the will of the people, a government by the people, for the people, and we are a democratic society, and therefore even laws such as the National Health Insurance, such as the Bella Act in education, and indeed such as expropriation without compensation, are all legislative pieces that came through the democratic process to where it is now, and we're not apologizing for that. And as you know, the president also reminded the world that we feel what had happened in Gaza over the last 15 months was a genocide. Hence, we decided to take Israel to the International Court of Justice under the Genocide Convention, and we are not going to back down. I think that was a very, very powerful message to Trump and to the Europeans.
Yes, in fact, we've seen obviously the president not mincing his words in any way whatsoever. And this was, I must add, a very, very strong response to Donald Trump, telling him in no uncertain terms, we will not be bullied and we will defend our national interests and our sovereignty.
No, absolutely. I mean, and I think, the name of Donald Trump wasn't mentioned, but I think everyone that listened to the speech knew that the president was addressing Donald Trump, was addressing his administration, and saying that on these few matters, with regards to Palestine, we are not backing down. With regards to trade, we want to be treated as an equal partner, and we are not going to compromise on that.
Yes, and also I think what's important to actually understand is looking at Donald Trump, and we know, he's been somewhat of a loose cannon. We see not only with with South Africa, but we see in the tariffs, Mexico. We've seen what has happened with Canada as well, China as well, and Donald Trump again showing complete disregard, complete disrespect, even for global institutions, referring to the likes of the ICJ, the ICC, all of that actually put together. And we knew it was only going to be a matter of time before South Africa would come under the radar and in the spotlight.
No, absolutely. And I've written an article about this. Um, when the Trump administration and Donald Trump himself threatened South Africa with the withdrawal of funding, with the fact that we might be sanctioned because supposedly, according to Donald Trump and his Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, we are doing unforgivable things to certain sections within our society. Um, and we are taking land from people and so on and so forth. All these fanciful ideas and things that is completely untrue. But they say these things because they want to force Cyril Ramaphosa's government to the negotiation table. We must run to Washington to go and protest that this is not true. And when we're there, I think the real intention of Donald Trump is going to be placed on the table. And the real intention is to put us under pressure to withdraw the case against Israel at the ICJ, to make sure that we pronounce our dismay against Russia in the Russia-Ukraine war, and that we must supposedly tell Donald Trump that we are not part of any attempt to de-dollarize and move away from the US dollar. I suspect that is the true intention of this position that they've taken against South Africa.
Well, Dr. Van Heerden, your reading is actually spot on, because this is something that I personally have given a lot of thought to as well. But again, when we look at Donald Trump and the put America first policy, and that was also in the build up to his election, to his campaign as well. And why shouldn't South Africa put South Africa first? Why shouldn't we adopt that same policy?
No, absolutely, and I think to be fair to the President of the Republic, Cyril Ramaphosa reminded Donald Trump and other world leaders of exactly that. We have our sovereignty. We are a constitutional democracy. We know what we are doing with regards to international relations. It is about solidarity. It's about human rights. It's about all people in the global north and the global south being treated as equals. And so I think it was a very powerful message from the president. And in many ways, he was doing what exactly Canada and Mexico and China has been doing over the last few days, which is to call Donald Trump's bluff and say, you can threaten us, but we are not going to budge.
Yes, I think calling his bluff is one, but we've also known what Donald Trump thinks of the rest of the world, and this man is living in a bubble. He's possibly even living in a cocoon, and this is the reason why he seems to be crossing all red lines. And we know even in his first term of his presidency, what he thought of the world, what he thought of Africa in particular. And sorry to use this term, but he actually referred to Africa as a shithole. And this is exactly what Donald Trump thinks of Africa. And how does one actually deal with a person who treats you with disdain, who treats you as if you are nothing?
Let me tell you what I think about Donald Trump and his overall strategy. He's a businessman. He wants the best deal for the company called USA Incorporated. He feels that the company USA has made lots of bad deals all over the world. He doesn't agree with the terms of NAFTA, which is the agreement between Canada and Mexico. He doesn't agree with the agreement or the deal that he was given in NATO, the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and so on and so forth. He doesn't like the deal with China. and so forth. So what he does as a businessman is he realizes that he must renegotiate these various deals and have a better deal for USA Incorporated. And so he goes, and it's a very clever negotiating strategy. He goes to the extreme. We are going to withdraw from NATO, not interested. We are going to slap Mexico and Canada with 50% tariffs, and so on and so forth. We are going to declare a 100% tariff on certain products from China. And what it does by this extreme view is he makes people then run to the US as the largest economy. The Europeans will come and say, no, please don't leave NATO. But what he actually then his true intentions is put on the table. No, don't worry. We don't really want to withdraw from NATO, but your contribution to your own security in NATO is too little. You need to up to 15% of GDP. Otherwise, we are going to withdraw. And then they say, no, we'll do that. We will comply. He says, oh, that's a much better deal because now the US will save more money in order to spend on local Americans and making America great again. The same with Mexico and Canada. Trudeau bravely decided to call his bluff and to impose countermeasures, counter tariffs, and so forth. But at the end of the day, they're going to find themselves in Washington talking to Donald Trump and Trump's administration because we can't have this trade war going on. And when they do that, he renegotiates a better deal for the US. And so with South Africa, it's exactly the same thing. Go for the extreme. Expropriation, they're taking people's land, they're dealing with certain sections of the South African population in a very bad way. They're doing terrible things. These are the things that Donald Trump, Marco Rubio, and so on is saying. And it's all because they want to force us. Now with the Gaza thing, my final example. With the Gaza thing, they're going to take over Gaza. The 2 million plus Palestinians must go to Egypt and Jordan, and very radical. And what he wants to do, he knows that after 15 months of a genocide in that part of the world, a genocide that the Palestinians had to endure, a lot of Muslim countries are completely anti-Israel. Even if there was some modicum of normalization of relations between Saudi Arabia, Jordan, and so forth, it's off the table now after what they've done to the Palestinians. And so he goes with an extreme suggestion. The USA is going to take over Gaza. We're going to move all 2 million people. Jordan and Egypt must absorb them, and we're going to turn it into a good piece of real estate. And everyone in the world, including the Arab Muslim states around the Middle East, are saying, what the hell? We need to talk to this man. As soon as they get to the negotiating table, Mr. Transactional Leader, Mr. Deal Maker is going to say, well, firstly, if you don't want us to take over Gaza, then you must normalize relations with Israel. If you don't want us to forcibly remove or ethnically cleanse Gaza, then you need to agree on our terms, which is X, Y, Z. And all those terms are going to be about the future of the state of Israel. That is the game that Donald Trump and his administration is playing. And they think that the rest of the world are fools. We don't know what's happening. And we are just going to agree to these ridiculous terms that he will be placing on the table.
Well, very, very interesting, Dr. Van Heerden, and really, it's just an absolute pleasure actually unpacking some of this with you this morning. I just want to engage with you for a few more minutes, but before that, we need to go for a quick ad break. We need to pay some bills. We'll be back.
Here day by day. This is Salam Media.
Penny Appeal's Education First campaign helps children to get access to quality education.
I'm 14 years old. When I grow up, I'd like to be a scientist.
We believe every child belongs at school,
And we want education, a better education.
learning and dreaming their way to a better future. With your help, we can provide classrooms, desks, stationery packs, and school shoes. Help make these dreams a reality. Visit www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 1100 573. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
You know, it's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
Africa. Education, health, dignity, empowerment. These wishes all begin with water. Africa Muslims Agency is committed to providing clean water to the thousands who still live without this basic human right. Support us in giving the best of charities. Provide a water well for 16,500 Rand or a borehole for 55,000 Rand in Afghanistan or 65,000 Rand in Africa. Gain Thawabi Jariyah and help communities to reach their full potential. Africa Muslims Agency, empowering, educating, inspiring.
Discover the Africa of your dreams and surround yourself with her spectacular beauty. Relax beneath her serene sunsets and explore wildlife at its natural best. It's where the pride of Africa comes together. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve. Get to know the Big Five or cruise on an elephant safari game drive. Interact with lion and tiger cubs and enjoy world-class halal cuisine while we pamper you during your 5-star stay. Indulge in the true African experience. For reservations, call now on 042 203 1400 or visit kwantu.co.za. The Kwantu Private Game Reserve, the place of gathering.
Imagine a world where every child feels loved, secure, and cared for. At Beit Halima Sadia Orphanage, we are not just providing a roof over their heads, we're giving orphan children a chance for a brighter future. For just 1,500 rands a month or 18,000 rands a year, you can sponsor an orphan and transform their life. Your contribution covers essentials like food, clothing, tuition, therapy, and more, ensuring they grow in a nurturing, supportive environment. Any donation is accepted as well as daily scheduled donations. EFT directly into our account. Beit Halima Sadia Orphanage, First National Bank, account number 6313-1080-078, branch code 250737, section 18A registered. Take this step today. Contact Sister Nazarene at 083-653-5669 or email info@bhscycc.co.za.
Connect and stay ahead with Salam Media. This is Salam Media, coming to you live from South Africa.
Well, we continue with our discussion with Dr. Oscar van Heerden, a senior research fellow at the Center for African Diplomacy and Leadership at the University of Johannesburg, as we unpack the State of the Nation address by President Cyril Ramaphosa last night. Dr. van Heerden, let's just now move away from Donald Trump and look at South Africa and look at our political landscape locally. And clearly, there have been a lot of challenges, but also what President Cyril Ramaphosa did is outline a vision Now, we know that this was the first with the Government of National Unity. We didn't see the theatrics of the EFF. We've seen the MK in full military regalia. We've seen the DA applauding the state president of the country as well. So, all of this actually in play. And just how do you see Cyril Ramaphosa addressing these issues? And, where are we at this point in time? But more importantly, this vision and addressing these challenges. I know there was a lot of focus on the soldiers that were killed in the DRC as well. Our local service delivery, over 250 municipalities, or obviously came under the spotlight as well. So all of this actually put together in terms of addressing the local issues, the local challenges.
Yeah, I think absolutely not. The truth is that the president reminded everyone about the strength of our constitutional democracy, the maturity of our constitutional democracy in a world where in Europe the far right is on the rise, in a world where the Democratic Party and the Republicans can't see eye to eye. In fact, they see themselves as enemies. They can't govern together. We in South Africa, yes, we have our differences. Yes, there's opposition parties, but we found a way to form a government of national unity, to put our differences aside for the moment, in order to have a functioning government to take the country forward. And I think a lot of people, a lot of politicians, a lot of pundits and so forth internationally see that as an amazing feat. And so I think the president reminded everyone where we come from, the difficult past that we've had, and the fact that we are so mature politically that opposition parties, 10 parties, can come together and form a government of national unity. And of course, as he was reminding us of the positives within the various fields, including those portfolios that are being headed by Democratic Alliance ministers, all 6 of them. You would recall in it the camera. When they talk of police, the camera is on Unu. If they talk about housing, the camera is on Simelane. Similarly, the camera was on some of the DA ministers. And of course, the president was singing their praises in terms of what they've managed with the visa regime, at Home Affairs, the backlogs. He's talked about basic education and the fact that we've had the best matriculation results in our 30-year history in democracy, and so on and so forth. And I think it was just he was cleverly playing and complementing his colleagues within the executive branch, saying, "Well done. We've moved the needle quite a bit, even though it's only been a year of the GNU. This is what our people in South Africa can expect: a delivery, a focused approach to the program of action, and so forth." And of course, also talking about quite a lot of money that has been injected into the economy that is addressing things like infrastructure development, 900 billion over the next 3 years and so forth. A lot of money. And that's all in an attempt to begin to say, instead of job opportunities, we need to create jobs, meaningful jobs.
Yes, but also I think within this government of national unity, and as you mentioned, many are obviously prophets of doom had actually predicted the collapse of this government of national unity for obvious reasons, conflicting ideologies within the various political parties, and also taking a look at South Africa, our relationship with Russia, the Ukraine issue. We know how the DA actually felt about that. We've spoken at length about South Africa and Palestine and Gaza. We know some of the political parties are not in agreement. But putting all of that together, and the point that you made again is the sign of maturity, where we disagree, fundamentally on many issues. But again, it's about putting South Africa first. It's about putting this country first and addressing the local challenges together, and particularly on areas where we are in total agreement with each other.
No, absolutely, and dare I say, Anyat, you know, the only grouping, the only people that is not in step with the maturity, with where we are going as a country, um, is people like AfriForum, people like Solidariteit, who, as you know, is going all over the world trying to claim that they are the new victims of a post-apartheid South Africa. We are somehow targeting them specifically, and they are marginalized, they are oppressed, they are victims. And we've now seen what that kind of dangerous lies can be all about. How dangerous it is for the future of our country, where the largest economy in the world, because it is governed by a right-wing conservative such as Donald Trump, believe these people, believe that we are somehow oppressing and victimizing the minorities within our country, which cannot be further from the truth. I mean, all the indicators, socioeconomically and otherwise, indicate that white South Africans, by and large, are still living large. They are the wealthiest. They own the most land. They own most of the economy, and so on and so forth. So it's just so blatantly untrue. And I think it's a very, very dangerous thing that AfriForum and Solidariteit is playing. In fact, I will go as far as to say it is treasonous. And so the South African government will have to look at it very closely, because they are hurting us as a country internationally.
Well, Dr. Van Heerden, I just wish we had a lot more time. Unfortunately, time has actually run out, and I'm sure there's just so much more that you can actually bring to this discussion and unpack for us. But I'm sure future programs, we certainly will bear that in mind. And as always, we do appreciate you taking time out with us here at Salam Media. All the best to you, sir.
Always a pleasure, Inia. Thank you very much.
Dr. Oscar van Heerden with us this morning, Senior Research Fellow at the Center for African Diplomacy and Leadership at the University of Johannesburg. We're going to be staying with the SONA. And next up, former Minister of Social Development, Lindiwe Zulu.